Dollars, a bailout or a bonus? We've been grappling with that one here at Scoreboard as we balance the mess of an ill-conceived bailout costing trillions versus the more personal insult of banks that have taken our money, who spend it on million-dollar bonuses or Super Bowl parties. Here to weigh in is Democratic Representative Dennis Kucinich of Ohio. He joins us from D.C. And if memory serves me, Mr. Kucinich, you were against both TARP bailouts, correct?
That's correct.
Right.
And not only that, but you know there's probably $1 to $2 trillion more in bailouts on the way. This situation's out of control.
Well, and we haven't begun to talk about how much money the Federal Reserve has put directly into a lot of these banks as well. So that's going to eventually devalue our currency. But I know that your particular bugaboo is over Citifield. Tell us why you think they should take that name off the stadium immediately.
Well, Congressman Ted Poe and I have written a letter to Treasury asking Treasury to order Citigroup to renounce and to rescind the deal they have with the Mets. That name should go off that stadium. It's not appropriate when Citigroup is laying off 50,000 workers, when they're getting hundreds of billions of dollars in various benefits from the federal government, and when they clearly have not been able to handle their own business in a way that protects the interests of their shareholders. What are they doing? They're putting their name, spending a huge amount of money putting their name on a stadium. That's just not an appropriate use of money, and it further fuels the distrust which the taxpayers have of the whole bailout process.
Okay, now, you know I'm with you on a lot of this bailout stuff, but I got to ask you, what do you know about advertising? I mean, maybe they know something about advertising that you don't.
Well, I have a background in marketing. My background's in speech and communications. I have a master's degree from Case Western Reserve in Cleveland. I know a lot about marketing.
Well, but the fact is that these guys do too. I mean, presumably, when they made this deal with the Wilpons, I guess it was a couple of years ago, they'd thought it out. They'd done all the ROIs and find out whether there is any kind of return on investment. And they figure it was worth it. Who are you, a politician? You may have a background in it, but you've been a politician for the past few years. Who are you to say that they're wrong on this?
Just a U.S. taxpayer like everyone else watching. You know what? This isn't about whether or not they have the right to market. They received more bailout money than almost anybody. They have an obligation to the federal taxpayers not to waste that money. And instead what we have these firms, you know, you hear about the parties, about the new tables that are worth, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, about bathrooms that are special, golden parachutes bonuses. We should be going perhaps from golden parachutes to an era of golden handcuffs, where these individuals are held accountable to the people, to the law.
We may actually get
getting
some,
away
by
with
the way.
everything.
Yeah, we may get a couple of perp walks before it's all over for a number of different reasons. But again, I understand your frustration with the bailouts because we share it here 100% with you. But what bothers or what makes a lot of people out there wary is the idea that for however righteous your outrage may be, we don't necessarily want politicians as managers of companies.
Easy. You know what? Don't take any bailout money then.
Well, that's a great point.
Once you take the bailout money, guess what? You know, we own you, okay? Now, I don't think the government should be buying banks. I don't think there should be bailouts involved. I've got a whole different approach which says take the Treasury or take the Federal Reserve, which is no more federal than Federal Express, take the Federal Reserve and put it under Treasury so we can finally have some real control over our monetary policies. You know, we have a situation right now where the taxpayers, the taxpayers are getting, well, you know what they're getting.
Yeah, I know, I know what you're saying.
And the truth of the matter is that we got to stand up for the taxpayers. We got to stop this practice of bailouts. Whatever happened to just normal competition? And if a business doesn't make it, let it fail. But what's happening is we're propping up these businesses with taxpayers' money. The taxpayers aren't really going to get anything in return. We have to stop this. This is not correct. We've got to find a way to save our economy without these bailouts, because these bailouts are going to kill the taxpayer. They're not getting the taxpayer anything except more debt. You know, if we do another $1 to $2 trillion, that would be almost, I don't know, $7,000 to $9,000 per taxpayer. Think about that. Each person watching. Think you and every member of your family paying maybe as much as $9,000 right out of your pocketbook.
Well, and the point is that
eventually
the debt is going to come due. I mean, somebody's going to have to pay for it. Either that money's going to be monetized, which means higher inflation, or the taxes are going to go skyrocketing, or interest rates are going to go skyrocketing, or all three could happen. So I think you're absolutely right. Plus, you're right about when you say these guys, you know, they had the right to choose between taking the money or not taking the money, between going bankrupt or living with government control, and they chose the latter. But are you having any influence with the new administration, which of course has as its Treasury Secretary a guy who was in favor of TARP, who was one of the architects of TARP? Are you having any influence with President Obama?
Well, I'm going to be meeting with Congressman Poe tomorrow, and we're going to see if we've gotten a response from Treasury yet. Because this is about Treasury's obligation. Now, the President himself spoke out against the bonuses. It was about $18.6 billion or something like that of Wall Street bonuses. President Obama himself said this is not correct. But we need to go one step further, and that is have the Treasury in whatever someone takes bailout funds, order those firms to rescind the bonuses. We've got to keep faith with the American taxpayers. We can't tell the American taxpayers the entire burden of this bailout is on the American taxpayers, and the private sector can keep rolling in dough.
Will this be the end? If you were in charge of Treasury right now, if you were President of the United States, would you cut off TARP and not use that extra $350 billion?
Well, I'm not president, but I am a member of Congress. And as members of Congress, I say we shouldn't be approving of any more of these TARPs. We should force this economic system to have to come to terms with their speculative practices, with their misspending, with their bad investments. The government should take a controlling interest in the mortgage-backed securities and help people save their homes, which, by the way, was where we first came into this discussion about bailouts. The subprime loans, get controlling interest and do loan modification. Keep people in their homes. Lower the interest rate, lower principal, extend the terms of the loan. You keep people in their homes, they'll be able to pay the banks, and then you'll have the economy start to repair itself somewhat. The way that we're going right now, you still have millions of Americans who are going to lose their homes, and we're giving all this money that should have been used to deal with the subprime mortgage crisis to begin with. I mean, this is a fraud that's being perpetrated on the American taxpayer on a scale that's unprecedented in the history of our country.
A lot of people agree with you, Congressman. Congressman Dennis Kucinich from the great state of Ohio, great to see you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.